Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode. Today we are talking about the new movie Lee, starring Kate Winslet and a bunch of other amazing people. But first, let's watch the trailer.
Wee.
Whee! Hopefully it plays.
Yeah, right.
I was born determined. I was good at drinking, having sex, and taking pictures. And I did all three as much as I could. Not everyone can believe this. Surely they can see what he is.
The question is, what are you going to do, Lee Miller?
Europe was at war, and I felt useless. I hear you're the woman to see about a job.
I am.
We don't hire older models.
I'm not a model anymore. I'd rather take a picture than be one.
It's just so creative.
Send me to Europe. I just want to do my part. I'm with Vogue magazine.
There's no women allowed in the press briefing.
You gotta be kidding me.
We don't send women to combat.
Well, that's a problem, because I'm here. Why should the men get to decide? I'm heading to the front.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Ready to go?
Leave her alone!
Bad things do happen to some of us girls.
You have secrets. Many that you'll never share.
Who cares? Nobody saw them. You didn't print them. I fought for them, Lee.
Not hard enough. No. Even when I wanted to look away, I knew I couldn't. There are different kinds of wounds. Not just the ones you can see.
Okay.
Look,
Wow.
I was misled.
Ah,
There wasn't a single Bruce, Jim, or Stan in there.
you're so funny. It's because I looked up the Lee movie and it comes up with Bruce Lee.
Because it should
I
always be
mean,
Bruce Lee.
I guess, but this is Lee Miller, the photographer.
Lee Majors?
Oh my gosh. Anyways, tell me, what do you think about this movie?
Well, if those of you don't know who Lee Miller is, she was a photographer for Vogue,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And then kind of became a war correspondent, but they didn't want to put her at things because she's a woman and there was truth and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So going into this movie, I knew who Lee Miller was. I didn't know a lot of her story. I knew about the bathtub, Hitler's bathtub photo and that kind of stuff. But I love movies like this that are, biographical about people's lives, especially people that don't get the long-term recognition in everyday life like they should, like this person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always also concerned on how they're going to depict it, because when this kind of stuff, there's a lot there, and how do you cram all of it in there? So you got to cut things out and blend it. And since a lot of her stuff was, I don't want to say feminist, but it's about empowering women. It also makes you wonder, are they going to start being like a forced down your throat message, or are they going to balance it to the history as well? And I thought this film did a great job of walking that line for all of it.
Yeah.
It is very powerful in relation to women, and not only like in work, recognition for their work and everything, but military level stuff, what they're allowed to do and not do, societal, how they're mistreated in war. But it also kind of, even though it's focused in that, it's also kind of the what is the word I'm looking for? It still kind of focuses on everybody's struggles while it's hers.
Yeah.
Because there's another side of it dealing with the Jewish people and things like this. So I thought it had a good balance to say, look, this is a really bad thing. She's really suffering. She's doing all these groundbreaking things. But then don't forget we have this other massive situation happening during this war that I thought was very well handled.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, too, is just showing the time period. And I don't think she was trying to fight for women's rights,
No.
but I think it was just like seeing the injustices that were happening to women and understanding that. And then also just her not being allowed into some places just because she was a woman, which is stupid. It had no purpose.
I mean, no, I agree.
But, you know, she was, and in many instances, you'll see in the movie, like she was the brave one to go down the rabbit hole and go down the scary alley to find the pictures that needed to be taken. And, you know, she was with Davy, good old David Sherman, from Time or Life? Ooh, shoot.
Time Life.
No,
Books.
which movie? No.
I remember. Who was
David Sherman.
brilliantly played by Andy Samberg.
By the way, the best. He was from Life magazine. And he,
Who, you know, most people we know Andy Samberg from comedy stuff.
yeah, he was so good in this, so moving. And I think it's interesting that I've never associated, or I guess I don't know enough of her work to associate the photos that I've seen in books of the Holocaust and of the survivor, or the dead bodies, and some of these, those are her pictures.
Yeah.
Like I oh my gosh, this is her picture.
Well, that's what I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff that we know photos, we know this, we don't know always behind the people that did these things, because, and I think they're as important, if not more so than the photo itself, because what they go through, not only in this case, the fight for kind of equal treatment of women in the job business and that kind of stuff, but the recognition of what they go through mentally, physically, to even get that one photo.
Yes.
You know, and the trauma that it sticks with you
traumatic.
forever.
And then, you know, I was telling you, one of my favorite scenes was with her and Andy Samberg. He's playing David Sherman. And at one point, once they find all these dead bodies piled up and the train cars, and for the people who say it wasn't real. Okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, he breaks down and he's like, all these people were my people, because he was a Jewish man from New York. So he got it. The other thing that was interesting, I don't know if you caught it, you know, the movie that was up for all the awards last year or this year, The Zone of Interest, the one where it's the family living a happy life next to the concentration camp.
Yeah.
And they show a little, like she's walking through the train cars, and there's just this family playing, and she's over here like gagging, trying not to breathe the stench of all these dead bodies.
They're so used to it.
And they're just there, kids are playing ball, and I'm like, oh my God.
That was like their everyday life at that point.
Crazy. And then
I also was concerned when you tell a story like this and you want to tell her story, you get into the relationships and that kind of, and sometimes to me that gets lost because we're trying to humanize her to make sure you remember this is a real person who's going through real things and dealing with things. Not everything in her world are the photographs in the war. It's also
she had a real life.
Yeah, her relationships and her children and whatever she's going to have to deal with. But sometimes that can take the impact away from one scene because they bounce to something else. And I thought it was really well handled of a lot of her romantic situation with her husband, or is it her husband? They get married. With her husband became correspondence stuff and little things like him sending her a care package that was like meant everything, and it showed their strength of their still relationship.
It's like clean underwear.
Yeah.
She was like, bless you.
You know, and I found that being interesting. The other thing I normally have gotten tired of in the very cliche world of this kind of storytelling is the interview bookends, where throughout the film you have somebody sitting there. They did it in Bike Riders and whatever, but just like in Bike Riders, there's a very clever.
Yeah, this is. I was like, what
angle.
just happened?
So she's telling this story to a reporter.
Yeah.
Or to an individual.
And she's like, why do you want to know all this?
Yeah, and as she asks this person.
And she's like, just look at the photo. And he's like, but photos have stories, and I want to know the story.
And some of you are going to probably watch the movie and saying, that's not what that was. And I'm like, I don't want to give it away because of the way it's structured.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's got an interesting twist. It made the whole thing more powerful in the end because it also spoke to her life as a whole, all the way to the end of her life, outside of what she did, but how it affected her everyday life, her mental health, her physical health, her family life, all from this one kind of small period
Yeah.
of what she did.
And can I do a shout out? Do we know she's in it?
Yeah, I mean, she's in
Marion
She
Cotillard.
has a very small part, but yeah.
But her part was powerful, though.
Yeah.
Because you see just like a before and after of the situation, and it was crazy and amazing.
Well,
and
I think that was
people
another smart turn, because there's a whole sequence at the beginning that is not doesn't seem to be an important part of the film,
right.
which is a group of people all hanging out. It's when she first meets who becomes her husband. And they're all just kind of hanging free love when they're in France, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just living
Kind of
that.
free, like they're all sitting there with the ladies with no shirts on. You know, it's just
But just living the life.
they're not
man.
having sex. It's not a weird sex party. It's just their freedom. You know,
Yeah.
free love kind of
Yeah.
thing, and not even free love, but like just women right. We don't need to wear a bra, whatever, you know. And
Yeah.
it seems like a throwaway scene to just set up her kind of lot place in life and to her meet him. But when you get later into the story and the casualties of war and all this stuff, that whole scene plays a major point to everything going on.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting how that, and it's just kind of thrown in like 2 or 3 scenes for each thing that picks from that, and makes it very powerful to see.
It is,
Oh, this
later
person's
on.
whole world changed.
Yeah. It's crazy what happened. And then, you know, the photos that she's taking, and a lot of it, she did take pictures of women in the field or the nurses or whatever. But then that one picture she took of that one kid, and she's like, I promise they'll remember you. I promise they'll print it. And then later on, you see the real picture. That's the other thing. It did a proper ending.
Yeah.
Showing us some of the real photos. But I mean, the movie did such a fantastic job of setting up the pictures.
When they did the side-by-side photos
Because,
too.
you know, a lot of it, we're seeing her take the pictures, but we don't actually see the pictures
Yeah, yeah.
until the end.
And there's
then
some where they do the side-by-side of like
Yes.
the picture of her in Hitler's bathtub and then the real picture of her in Hitler's bathtub.
It's crazy.
I'm not the biggest Kate Winslet fan.
I know you're not.
Mostly because I'm still hostile that she didn't let Jack on that door. No. Did you see her on is it Colbert?
Where she's like, there was enough room.
Where she ran around and jumped onto the
Oh.
desk.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Colbert. It might have been Fallon, but they did the whole conversation. She's like, I don't know. She goes, but maybe. So she gets up, she runs over, she dives on the desk, and he squatted down. And she was like, come on up here. She scooted over, and he got on there, and they were both on the desk at the same time.
They would have fit.
Anyway, it's funny.
It's
But no, she's fantastic
It's
in the
a
movie.
fantastic movie.
I read an article too that they were talking about an interview. I think it was for this movie. They were talking about one of the scenes where she's topless. They asked her to kind of suck it in, and she's like, no.
No.
She's
Why?
like, I'm a normal woman. I'm not.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah, and
She's
there's a lot of nudity in the
She's
movie,
beautiful
but it's not.
shape.
But it's not gratuitous like sex
No,
nudity.
no,
It's
no.
life nudity.
Yeah.
You know, like
There is
changing
there's no weird
clothes
sexual things at all.
or the horrific nudity of
yeah.
death
Well,
and torture, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there are moments that it's hard to watch, but not from a standpoint that it's gratuitous. Mostly because you know kind of the atrocities that are happening, and especially if you're somebody that's been in war or have heard the issues, or you've been through some kind of a trauma, it could affect you a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But I think it's very well handled in a movie that technically, outside of the nudity and some of the visuals is the word I'm trying to get out of, the the Holocaust stuff is a little hard to look at sometimes, but as a whole I still think it's a movie that's kind of a broad visual of the movies. It's like
I think it was really
older teens / adults and older I think should see this movie because it's an important movie.
It
to
is
see.
really important. It's very, very well done. She is fantastic, and so is Andy Samberg.
And I'm also like, I love action movies and people getting killed and stabbed and murdered and everything else. But I do think we need movies like this that not only showcase things she does, but to remind people of the atrocities of actual war. Like we get desensitized because we watch the news. 30,000 people were killed. And we're like, oh, that sucks. Let me finish my sandwich.
Yeah.
And then you watch a John Wick movie. You don't care about anybody dying in that movie.
Well, they shouldn't have killed his dog.
Well, I know that, but I'm not saying care like the people, but you don't care that all these people are being murdered. We're sitting here watching a movie where lives are being taken, and we don't care because we're enjoying it. I think that this reminds you, hey, this is fiction. Here's the real things
life,
going on, and it's really sad, and people are really affected.
This is crazy, man. This movie was amazing.
It is a very, very good movie.
Go watch it right now. It's in theaters.
Yeah, it's in theaters now.
All right. Now
see
put a
something
link
different.
to our review there in the chat.
Since you're refusing to watch Transformers, go watch this one.
Wow. Make sure you also check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. We have free stuff we're giving away, and there's other reviews. and interviews and other things that you need to be watching.
That's right. So watch it. Go do
There
it.
you go. Check
Get
it
it all.
out. Goodbye. Thank you
catch-
for being here.
Gotta catch them all.
Pokemon.